Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. Now, here's John Truman Wolfe.
Hello, folks. John Truman Wolfe here with the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. Talking today from, as I do every Thursday afternoon, from the beautiful Los Padres National Forest, north of Los Angeles, and talking today about digital currencies. We did a show last week on the central bank implementation of digital currencies, and I've got some extremely hot information on this subject to talk to you about today. It may not sound like a sexy subject to you if you're not familiar with digital currencies, but these are coming to your bank account, ladies and gentlemen. Digital currencies are coming to the American monetary system without question as they are pushed forward by central banks around the world. And there's new information on what the Federal Reserve is doing or perhaps intending to do. Before we get into all of that and what you do about it, a review of today's financial news, stats, data. The Dow 26,815 after several days of, down hundreds of points. It was up 52 today. The Dow, along with virtually everything else. And when I say everything else, I'm talking about precious metals and digital currencies, have been tanking here for the last several days. Whether or not this is the beginning of a turnaround or just a little teeny recoup, we'll have to wait and see. 26,815 up 52. The S&P 3246 up 10. The NASDAQ 10,672 up 39. So the stock market just kind of peeking its head into the black after, as I say, days and days of red, lots of red. Gold 1871.50 up $1.80, very similar to the equities markets, meaning that the precious metals markets have been declining here now for several days. Gold, as you know, if you follow it, I say as you know, if you follow it, has been trading around, in the mid-1900s, 1950, 1940, 1960, but is down to 1871 and bounced a little bit, $1.80. Silver took a major hit down from, around 27.50 down to 23.31. Like the rest of the assets, bounced a little bit. Silver bounced up 8 cents. The digital currencies, very much the same. You look at the red in the precious metals industry, you look at the red in the digital currency world, and they're very, very similar. As gold and silver fell, so too did Bitcoin, so too did Ethereum, so too did Ripple, and most, not every single one, but most of the other digital currencies fell off as well. The digital currencies, cryptocurrencies, have started to make a little bit of a comeback, and we'll get into the specifics of those numbers when we come back right after this message. Stay with us.
In this time of global uncertainty, you need sound financial information to keep your investments, your future, as safe as possible. The Strategic Financial Intelligence Newsletter, created by John Truman Wolfe, #1 best-selling author and renowned financial consultant to governments around the world, is your most valuable asset. A monthly goldmine of the vital insight and insider information you need to stay on top. Right now, financial security is critical. That's why, for a limited time, we're dropping our price from $249 annually to just $99. That includes access to the entire Strategic Financial Intelligence archives covering everything from precious metals, offshore banking, to cryptocurrencies, and the wildly heralded seminar on the covert agenda that has backed the U.S. dollar for at least 50 years and more. Sign up now at strategicfinancialintelligence.com. That's strategicfinancialintelligence.com.
All right, folks, we are back. I'm John Truman Wolfe. This is the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. I was just wrapping up the statistics from the digital currency markets today. Bitcoin, 10,654, up 4%. Ethereum, 346, up 7%, 7.2%. Ripple, 23.2, up 3.95%. So up 4%, Bitcoin up 4, Ether up 7%, Ripple up almost 4%. And all of these sectors of the investment sphere have had a very rough week, 7, 8, 9 days. I have to go back and look and see when the sell-off started. But if you look at the graphs, they are declining graphs in each of these sectors. Stocks, precious metals, digital currencies. So one, wonders why, what caused that. The, elite authoritative answer is that the dollar has gotten stronger. Well, if you look at the graph on the U.S. dollar, well, it has gone up. But certainly, it hasn't gone up enough to drive down these statistics. The other PR is, if the people labeled with COVID-19 goes up for a day, then they say that affects the stock market and so forth. It's all a bunch of PR that controls this stuff, and we'll see. Here's my opinion. My opinion is that the precious metals and the digital currency markets in particular this is a design downtrend to get folks out. So we've got Mike, I'm getting a reverberation. I'm not sure you can fix that, but if you can, be helpful. But the point being that these sell-offs are staged, they're planned, and one can get frightened if you've got money in those asset classes and think you're going to lose your 401k or your IRA. Or you can look at it as a buying opportunity, which is my perspective, and may or may not be correct. They may continue to get a sell-off. Certainly, the contentious presidential election, is driving uncertainty in the financial markets. No question about it. I've never seen anything like this. I presume the listeners haven't either. By that, I mean, have you ever seen this kind of acrimony in politics? Yes, the Republicans and Democrats have, argued and opposed each other over the years, but nothing like today, nothing like now. Those of you that follow politics back in the Reagan era may recall seeing Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill, the then Speaker of the House. They were friendly. They were buddies. They had opposing points of view. Reagan, a strong conservative, O'Neill, the leader of a Democratic House, and they were friendly. That's not the case today, and to a very significant degree, I think that, if anything, that affects the markets. Is this person going to get elected? Is that person going to get elected? And if so, what's going to happen? So that's just a little look at the last week or so. This I'll call it the sell-off week. with gold down $80, silver down $4 or $5, and the digital currencies off several percent, depending on which one. I want to continue the discussion on digital currencies. And I talked last week about, ran through various of the central banks on the planet and their plans to test and pilot, and in some cases actually implement digital currency, national digital currencies. They are called CBDCs, and you better get familiar with that term, folks, because it's coming. CB central bank, CB central bank, DC digital currencies, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, and CBDCs are being tested, piloted, and implemented across planet Earth. In last week's talk, I summarized a little bit what the Fed was doing, the U.S. Fed, because we're kind of way behind the curve. By that I mean China, for instance, is the leading economy on the planet relative to implementing CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. They have 4 states that are using digital currencies, and they have, in addition, employees being paid with digital currencies. When asked, when they were going to roll out digital currencies to the entire country, the governor of the PBOC, People's Bank of China, whose name is I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. But anyway, the governor said, we don't have an exact date, but we expect to be using them in the Beijing Winter Olympics in 2022. So we're getting close to 2021. We're looking at a year and a half in terms of China rolling these things out. As I said last week, there are smaller countries that actually are operating on digital currencies. Tunisia, Senegal actually have digital currencies that they're using for their money in their country. The Bahamas, the Ukraine, Sweden, various other countries around the planet are rolling these things out. And as I mentioned to you last week, survey done by the Bank for International Settlements, the central bankers, central bank in Basel, Switzerland, did a survey last year and found that about close to 80% of the central banks in the world were in the process of, again, piloting, testing digital currencies. So I know I sound a little bit like a broken record on this, but I keep repeating it because it's important that you realize, at least I think it's important, that you realize that digital currencies are coming to your bank account. That means no more cash, no cash. Whether or not they'll make cash illegal or perhaps just regulate it such that cash is not to be accepted in a retail store or in any exchange situation, I don't know. But cash will be pushed to the side, either legally by regulation or simply due to the fact that people won't accept it anymore because that's not what's in a bank account. You're going to be paying vendors with zeros and ones. That's what's coming down the road, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the details of that when we come back right after this. I'm John Truman Wolfe. This is the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. We'll be right back.
Question: have you ever thought about making an investment in California real estate for the high returns available through trust deeds? As a trusted professional broker, Sun Pacific Mortgage and Real Estate has been helping investors earn high-yield returns on safer investments for over 32 years. Their trust deeds earn upwards of 13%. That's right, 13%. They invest in notes starting from $100,000 throughout all of California, where real estate remains strong. If you want to know more about high return investments through available deeds of trust, go to their website at sunpacificmortgage.com. That's sunpacificmortgage.com, or call them today at 707-523-2099. 707-523-2099. sunpacificmortgage.com, or call them at 707-523-2099.
When you really want Italian food, you have got to get to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. It's that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Food fans, thrill seekers, and devoted seekers of wisdom, truth, and the world's greatest meatballs, it's time to indulge in the fine art of gastronomic yum-yum. Columbo's, a shrine to mirth and merriment, as well as great grub. Columbo's, the preeminent destination for good times and deliciousness. Enjoy the scenic view. Savor the finest steaks, the freshest fish. Columbo's family Italian specialties, including their pizza with sausage and pepperoni. Sure to tickle your belly and your disposition. Yes, Columbo's, an historic LA landmark for ample eats and husky spirits. Yes, Columbo's, that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Columbo's, mangia bene.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. They want your money, and guess what? They can legally take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you. So what do? Fight back by letting our team of experts at the tax helpline work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws and will fight to save your money. So, if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket.
800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. That's 800-932-1597.
All right, folks, we're back. I'm John Truman Wolfe. This is the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. We're talking today about digital currencies and how then the fact that digital currencies are coming to you, to your home, to your bank account. I was somewhat shocked and surprised yesterday to read an article that was posted in Zero Hedge. If you don't subscribe or read Zero Hedge, they usually have great articles there. I think it's zerohedge.com. And this is an article written about statements from former Fed governors about the solution to the fact that the Fed has been pouring trillions into the economy, by clicking a mouse, and that the money wasn't getting to people. The inflation wasn't a result, which is what they were trying to do, get some level of inflation. I've given this example before, but I'll give it again just for those of you that may not have heard it. Inflation is basically the amount of money in circulation relative to the goods or services that money needs to purchase. So if there are 100 people in a room and they all have $10 in their pocket, and I'm sitting in the front of the room and I've got an orange, and everybody kind of wants the orange, the orange will likely sell for $10. If everybody in that room has got $100, then the price of the orange will go way up because the amount of money in circulation will bid for those products. That's inflation, not any more complicated than that. Okay, so the Federal Reserve has been gushing money into the economy to the tune of trillions, with a T, trillions of dollars. And I don't know what that exact number is, somewhere in the neighborhood of $4 trillion into the economy. by clicking a mouse. They just make up zeros and ones and send them to bank accounts. But no inflation, very little inflation. And so the question becomes, how come? And the answer is because that money, the money is going to banks. The banks have treasury bonds or treasury bills. They have government debt. And to pump money into the economy, the Fed buys those treasury bills, treasury bonds. And so the Fed gets the asset of the IOU from the US Treasury, and the bank gets the money. So that has been done to the tune of trillions. And yet the money isn't getting to the consumer to, renew the economy. The banks have been sitting on it, lending it out. What are you paying? What interest rate are you paying on your credit cards, folks? I don't know what the average is, but there's a lot of credit cards that are, in the 20% range. So the banks get this money at 0.5%, lend it out to 20. Why give that money or get that money or lend that money out to, industrial loans to manufacturers or retail stores where they charge, the prime rate over 1 or 2, they're going to get maybe 5% interest. And so the money's been sitting in the banks. It has not gone to the public. And the question then becomes from the Federal Reserve, which prompted this article, how do we get money to people, to the consumer? So I'm going to read from this article. It is, again, from zerohedge.com. And I'm just picking out certain parts of it. But it says, in short, ever since the Fed launched QE, that's quantitative easing, and I think that term has become used enough that you understand that just means pumping money into the economy. And NIRP, negative interest rate policy. This is policies of actual negative interest rates. This is something the Fed has been doing. Negative interest rates. That means investing in a government bond, which might have paid you, 5% in the past. You buy the bond, and then you don't get any interest. The government keeps, let's say you spend $50,000, the government gives you that back $49,500. You get no interest, negative interest rate policy. All right, so the Fed has been trying to do that, and it hasn't been successful, and we'll discuss what the results of that are when we come back after these messages. Stay with us.
Do you want to fly somewhere, anywhere in the world? Smart travelers call myflightsearch.com for the best deals on flight tickets. Going to Manila, Bangkok, London, how about Singapore? Call myflightsearch.com for the lowest flight tickets available. What about a local vacation? Let's say you want to fly to Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Los Angeles, or Denver. Pick up the phone and call myflightsearch.com right now. We have exclusive deals that you can't find anywhere else. The only way you can get these low airline prices is by calling us. We have so many low prices available, we can't possibly tell them to you right here and now. If you're flying somewhere anytime in the next 6 months and you want the lowest airline ticket prices anywhere, you owe it to yourself to save a ton of money. So pick up your cell phone and call myflightsearch.com right now.
Call 800-445-3166. 800-445-3166. That's 800-445-3166. Call now. 800-445-3166.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Tired of lockdown? Let the reconnect begin. You belong here. Welcome home to the magic of Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante in Fullerton, California. Check out our new spacious outdoor dining al fresco. Romantic, market lights. It looks like a movie set. Dine under the stars and enjoy our tasty Angelo's and Vinci's pizza, pasta, seafood, chicken, salad dinners, and more. In the cool of the evening, come enjoy our award-winning menu, new wine list, specialty cocktails like our peach Bellini martini, appetizers, and more. Angelo's and Vinci's now open every day from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. for relaxing outdoor dining. No reservations needed. Just come on in for delicious Italian food. Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante, 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton. Call 714-879-4022. We're going to need a lot of pasta to get through this year. Come to Angelo's and Vinci's at 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton today.
In this time of global uncertainty, you need sound financial information to keep your investments, your future, as safe as possible. The Strategic Financial Intelligence Newsletter, created by John Truman Wolfe, #1 best-selling author and renowned financial consultant to governments around the world, is your most valuable asset. A monthly goldmine of the vital insight and insider information you need to stay on top. Right now, financial security is critical. That's why, for a limited time, we're dropping our price from $249 annually to just $99. That includes access to the entire Strategic Financial Intelligence archives, covering everything from precious metals, offshore banking, to cryptocurrencies, and the wildly heralded seminar on the covert agenda that has backed the U.S. dollar for at least 50 years, and more. Sign up now at strategicfinancialintelligence.com. That's strategicfinancialintelligence.com.
All right, folks, we're back. I'm John Truman Wolfe. This is the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. We're talking about digital currencies. When I broke away, I don't want to leave you with a bunch of terms that are not easily understood, but into the economy, and negative interest rate policies, meaning basically reducing interest rates to nothing and below nothing. So this article, which was in Zero Hedge, says, and having recently accepted that its preferred stimulus pathway has failed to boost the broader economy, the blame has fallen on how monetary policy is intermediated. Now, intermediated means there's somebody between one end of a communication line and the other intended line. And in this case, they're talking about banks. So the line from central banks to a customer's bank account is intermediated by the banks. In other words, the money doesn't go directly from the central bank to the person's bank account. The banks are intermediaries, and so there is a mouthful term called disintermediation, which means getting rid of the middle person. So this says the blame has fallen on how monetary policy is intermediated, specifically the way the Fed creates excess reserves, which end up at commercial banks instead of trickling down all the way to the consumer level. So they see this as a problem. And one has to kind of assume that you agree with their, I don't have to assume it, but you have to kind of agree with their point that it's their job to get money to the consumer. So, carrying on with the article, and yet the lament is that even as the economy was desperately in need of a massive liquidity tsunami, they're talking about during the pandemic, the funds created by the Fed and the Treasury did not make their way to those who need them the most, the end consumers. So, what does the Fed propose to do to handle this? This will blow your mind, folks. The Fed would activate securities, and they would buy debt from the government, as they do now, and deposit the funds digitally in household apps. Woo! It took Congress I'm quoting here, it took Congress too long to get money to people, and it's too clunky. We need a separate infrastructure. The Fed, let me see, I don't want to get too complicated here, but well, the Fed could use some kind of statistic, is what this is saying, like maybe the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate goes up, then they would implement this money from the Fed to the consumer's bank account. Listen to this now, ladies and gentlemen. Essentially, the Fed is proposing creating a hybrid digital legal tender, unlike reserves, which are stuck within the reserves are stuck within the financial system, and which it could deposit directly into consumer accounts. The Fed's going to create money, bypass other government regulations or the bank, and put it into your bank account. In short, quote, the Fed is planning to send money directly to Americans in the next crisis. Whoa. Does this put the Fed into a super powerful position in terms of controlling individuals? The legislation has proposed that each American have an account at the Fed. Let me read the first three words again. Legislation has proposed. So there's legislation that has proposed that each American have an account at the Fed in which digital dollars could be deposited as liabilities of the Federal Reserve, which could be used for emergency payments. Let me pick this up here. But wait, it gets better. Because in launching digital cash, the Fed would then be able to scrap anonymous physical currency entirely and track every single banknote from its creation, all through the various transactions and that take place during its lifetime. Okay. 1984 is way behind us at this point. They're talking about the Fed now, not to get too repetitive, but you have an account. Every American would have an account at the Federal Reserve. And when the Fed wanted to inflate the economy, they would put money, digital currency money, into your Federal Reserve bank account, and then be able to track every single digit, every digital dollar, and everywhere it went. Let's say you paid your doctor for, maybe you go see the doctor for something you're not, that interested in sharing with the rest of the world. The Fed knows what you paid your doctor for, follows the money from the doctor who's buying his, his meds from pharma. Pharma takes the money and uses it to bribe a congressman. The Fed could follow the entire thing. The Fed would have digital electronic eyeballs on every single digital dollar that existed. Now, this is a proposal by the Federal Reserve, and apparently it says legislation has been proposed. I haven't read it. So this looks like it may be coming. We're going to talk about the results of that if it passes when we come back. I'm John Truman Wolfe. We'll be right back.
How would you like to save up to $500 on your next vacation package? Any vacation package anywhere in the world. Just call Superior Travel and mention the code RADIO and save up to $500. We'll design a custom, fantastic vacation just for you with all the bells and whistles. Not some cookie-cutter vacation, but a unique, all-included vacation customized by one of our exclusive travel experts. And our service is completely free. You pay nothing more. So why waste your time? Let us do it for you. We've got over 100 years of travel experience to help create the perfect trip for you. Call now and learn how to save up to $500 on your next custom vacation. Pick up the phone, call Superior Travel, and use the code word RADIO.
800-570-9631. 800-570-9631. That's 800-570-9631.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
All right, folks, I'm John Truman Wolfe. We are back. This is the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. We're talking about the proposal for the Federal Reserve Bank to establish digital bank accounts by every American at the Fed, bypassing the banks. I'm going to reread the sentence just as we left for break because it's awfully telling. But this again, for those that are just joining us, is an article from zerohedge.com. It gets better, because in launching digital cash, the Fed would then be able to scrap anonymous physical currency entirely. Cash. Fed would be able to get rid of cash and track every single banknote. Now, this is a digital banknote, remember, from its creation all the way through the various transactions that take place during its lifetime. And eventually the Fed could remotely destroy said digital currency when it so decides. In the process, the Fed would effectively disintermediate commercial banks. In the process, the Fed would disintermediate banks, meaning it would just get them out of the way. That's what disintermediation means. Would remove them from being in the way of the communication line from the Federal Reserve to your personal bank account. The Fed could remotely destroy said digital currency when it so decides. And in the process, the Fed could effectively disintermediate commercial banks, as it would both provide loans to U.S. customers and directly deposit funds into their accounts, effectively making the entire traditional banking system obsolete. Here are the details, the article says, and they're quoting one of the Fed governors, I believe, here. Other proposals, this is a speech, if I'm not mistaken, given by one of the Fed governors in some convention. Other proposals would create a new payments instrument, digital cash, which would be just like the physical currency issued by central banks today, but in digital form and potentially without the anonymity of physical currency. You get this, folks? The Fed is going to issue, I know I'm being repetitive, but just so it sinks in, the Fed is going to, planning here, to create a digital currency which they can identify, which they can control. This is not like a Ben Franklin. This is not like a $100 bill. This is a digital dollar. Other proposals would create a new payments instrument, digital cash, which would be just like the physical currency issued by central banks today, but in digital form and potentially without the anonymity of physical currency. Depending on how these currencies are designed, central banks could support them without the need for commercial bank involvement via direct issuance into end users' digital wallets, combined with central bank facilitated transfer and redemption services. Meaning you could, the central bank would facilitate your spending the money and turning it in. The Federal Reserve Bank of, this is what I mentioned at the beginning of the hour. The Federal Reserve Bank of Boston is also engaged in a multi-year effort working with MIT to experiment with technologies that could be used for central bank digital currencies. So this subject, ladies and gentlemen, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, is here. Here are central bankers talking about implementing it in the U.S. As I said at the top of the hour and last week, there are central banks around the planet that are working on these kinds of programs. It also notes, this article, that the federal, is it the Fed or the Central Bank of Boston here? The Federal Reserve Bank of New York, which is the godfather of the central banks in the United States, is working in partnership with the Bank for International Settlements. Now, if you follow me at all, you know about the Bank for International Settlements. For those of you that don't, this is the central banker's central bank in Basel, Switzerland, and is the senior bank on planet Earth. So in partnership with the Bank for International Settlements, you have to enunciate that very, very clearly. So working on a partnership with the BIS to identify and develop in-depth insights into critical trends and financial technology of relevance to central banks. The Fed in New York and the BIS are working to develop these things so that they can look into your digital bank account, track every dollar that they put in there. If they've removed cash, that's the money that you've got, the digital currency put in there by the Fed. And they're working with the BIS on how to track those things, among other things. All right, folks, I'll come back with a summary of this right after these messages. This is something you need to be aware of and we need to plan for, and we'll talk about this when we come back. I'm John Truman Wolfe. We'll be right back.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 888-912-1332. 888-912-1332. 888-912-1332. Call right now. 888-912-1332.
For the getaway of your dreams, come to Hawaii's Playground, Ka'anapali Beach Resort, on the fun side of Maui, where the world comes to play. Find your spot on Ka'anapali Beach with 3 miles of white sand, 12 resort properties, 2 golf courses, and 2 shopping centers. Enjoy the playground of Hawaii's ancient royalty. Ka'anapali Beach Resort is Hawaii's original master planned destination resort and home of the Hawaii Food and Wine Festival. With views of 2 neighboring islands, you can breathe in the land's natural beauty from your favorite resort or golf fairway. Come experience Ka'anapali's own special brand of Hawaiian hospitality with world-class dining, relaxing resorts, water sports, and activities of every kind. For romantic, family, and great friend getaways, discover the options of Ka'anapali Beach Resort, where the world comes to play. Plan your getaway today. Visit Ka'anapaliResort.com. That's KAANAPALI Resort.com. Question: have you ever thought about making an investment in California real estate for the high returns available through trust deeds? As a trusted professional broker, Sun Pacific Mortgage and Real Estate has been helping investors earn high-yield returns on safer investments for over 32 years. Their trust deeds earn upwards of 13%. That's right, 13%. They invest in notes starting from $100,000 throughout all of California, where real estate remains strong. If you want to know more about high-return investments through available deeds of trust, go to their website at sunpacificmortgage.com. That's sunpacificmortgage.com, or call them today at 707-523-2099. 707-523-2099. sunpacificmortgage.com, or call them at 707-523-2099.
All right, folks, we're back. I'm John Truman Wolfe. This is the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. We're talking about the current plans by the Fed to bypass banks, commercial banks, entirely and deposit money in accounts you have with the Federal Reserve. And if you think that sounds like something out of Star Wars, you're right. This information comes from an article at zerohedge.com. And let me just continue with it here a little bit. So towards the end of the article, to summarize, the wheels are already turning on a plan that sees the Fed depositing, quote, digital dollars to each American. Unbelievable. A stunning development that essentially sees the Fed bypass Congress, endowing the central bank with targeted fiscal stimulus capabilities. So the Fed, if they decide to, crank up the inflation rate, they do so by depositing digital dollars in your account that they have, that you have with them. Now, I write about this at some length in my newsletter, and let me encourage you listeners to subscribe to Strategic Financial. Oopsie daisy, here we lost that. Let's see here. Lost it there for a second. Okay, so what I was saying was subscribe to Strategic Financial Intelligence at strategicfinancialintelligence.com, because I'm all over this subject. This is happening. I don't think most people know about it, and I think people need to be prepared for digital currency accounts. One of the quick solutions that I've mentioned before, but I'm going to repeat now, is to get yourself some precious metals, some gold and silver. I'm just looking at the last paragraph here of this article. The Fed is now finalizing the last steps of a process that revolutionizes the entire fiat monetary system. That's the system that we have now. Launching digital dollars, which effectively remove commercial banks as financial intermediaries, as they will allow the Fed itself to make direct deposits into Americans' digital wallets, in the process also making Congress and the entire legislative branch redundant, as a handful of technocrats quietly take over the United States. This is stunning, ladies and gentlemen. And I repeat, I don't want to sound like a used car salesman, but I think it's really important that people know this. I'm writing about it regularly in strategicfinancialintelligence.com. Strategic Financial Intelligence is the name of the newsletter. And we're talking about, in the newsletter, precious metals and digital currencies and ways to avoid the central bank of the United States from controlling everything you do with your finances. I mean, this is a stunning development that the Fed is looking to have Americans bank with them, not your commercial bank, and control the digital dollars that they put in your bank. So go to strategicfinancialintelligence.com, get the newsletter, because we're going to follow this up very, very closely. I'm John Truman Wolfe. This is the John Truman Wolfe Financial Hour. Happy to be with you. I hope you have a great weekend, and we will see you next week. Be well.
Mr. Pop. Are you tired of hearing your favorite talk radio shows sound like this? What if you could hear your favorite shows in crystal clear high